And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have one final recipe to go with our samosas, and that is for the tamarind chutney. And it's a really, really delicious chutney. You'll find it frequently at Indian restaurants. Now before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that we have an affiliate link with Chef's Temp. If you need a kitchen thermometer or meat probe, please check out the link in the description below, and use code LOVEYOURFOOD on checkout for 15% off your order. In the meantime, here's the ingredients for this amazing tamarind chutney. We have some tamarind paste, should be de-seeded, some dates, some coriander seed, some cumin, some brown sugar or jaggery if you can get it, some ground cinnamon, some fennel seeds, some hot sauce, we're going to use our own homemade, some Asafoetida, some water, and some namak black salt. Now this is a mineralized black salt and it has a really interesting savory flavor and aroma to it. So first thing we're going to do is toast our cumin and coriander. Into our spice grinder goes the ground ginger and the fennel seeds. And we're going to add the toasted spices in there as well. And we're just going to give these a blitz and make sure they're nice and ground up. And that's going to be our spice mix for this. We also use Asafoetida, which is a really intense thing, so you'll want to be very careful with that. Now into the pot goes our tamarind paste. You can see ours is a little old, it's oxidized, which is why it's so dark. It's supposed to be de-seeded, but it's not. Don't worry, we're going to be straining it later. Now the dates, if they have pits, you want to pull them out just like that. And in they go as well. Now this is going to cook for quite some time. It's going to simmer. In goes the brown sugar. Jaggery, if you can find it. If you can't, brown sugar will be a fine substitute for this. And our water. And we're just going to basically stew these together for a while. We're just going to simmer them for a long, long time until they reduce. All of those solid ingredients kind of melt and come together. You do want to stir it pretty frequently because there's a lot of sugar in most of those ingredients and you don't want it to stick and burn. So a low temperature for a slow cook. For a long time and keep it moving. It doesn't need constant stirring, but you do want to stir it pretty frequently. So we're just going to keep stirring that. We're going to add in our spice mix. And we're going to add in some of that black salt. And again, this is such an interesting savory aroma that this adds to everything. And we're also going to add in our hot sauce. And this is one of our homemade spicy fermented relishes. And then you just want to stir everything together and make sure it's all well combined. So just give it a good stir. You can see it has thickened up a lot, so it's gotten nice and thick and has become a very decent sauce at this point. We are going to dilute it a little bit because we want to burr mix it. So we're going to add a little bit of water just so that we basically have enough to burr mix with. So we're going to use our stick blender and really sort of smooth this out. And you want to make sure you get it pretty nice and smooth. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Again, things like if your tamarind paste has seeds, those aren't really going to burr mix. So don't worry, we're going to get those out when we do the straining. So we're going to run this through a strainer so it's nice and smooth at the other end. So you can just pour it into your strainer. You can see it starting to come through there. And we're just going to push it through with either a scraper or a ladle. If you could have a good stout metal ladle, that is a really good help here. And you want to make sure that you scrape the stuff off the outside of the strainer as well. That's all going to be really, really good. There's a lot of flavor, and it gives you that texture that you want that's a little thicker. You don't want it to be too runny, so that's going to be the right thing. And that's basically it. You're going to let it sit for a little while. You want it to be basically room temperature when you serve it, and you're going to dip your samosas in there. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Now, be careful. We added the Asafoetida in with our spice mix. You just want a little tiny bit of that. It is a very intense aroma, and it's very, very strong. So you just want a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of that. And if you can't get it, don't worry. It's pretty much optional for this one. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. We'd like to thank our patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to support us there, please check out the link in the description below. And remember to love your food.